One day we had come down from San Gabriel, went to the mailbox, and there was a letter from the Selective Service System telling me to report for my physical. That would have been 1967. The next thing I know, I'm at Fort Ord in California, and then back to military intelligence school at Fort Holabird in Baltimore, Maryland. And I think everyone who was graduating knew exactly where we were going. It was either language school in Texas or straight to Vietnam, and mine was straight to Vietnam. I went the furthest south to Suc Trang, which is way down in the Mekong Delta, and we were to liaison with, in my case, a Vietnamese Marine Corps and Army of the Republic of Vietnam, and we were to collect or extract information from them regarding hostilities and enemy positions. And the most disturbing thing was the Tet Offensive, January 31st at 3 o'clock in the morning, when there was a series of attacks all across the country. I was stationed with one other fellow in this little blockhouse. It was kind of like a Dutch oven with a fan. That's about what it amounted to. We began to creak open that front door, and you could see tracers going back and forth, and we both knew that we were in it, and we had no clue who was shooting, where they were shooting from, other than watching the tracers. And in the Delta, that close to the equator, dawn comes quickly and then is gone, but the night is just pitch black. And when dawn came, there was no noise, there was no nothing. There were no children laughing and screaming and what have you. And we weren't sure whether or not the village had actually been captured. And then for the next 72 hours, it was waiting for an all clear that we could get to the air base, which then was perhaps, I observed, the most horrific thing I've ever seen. In order to clear the road to the air base in Suc Trang, there were two F-100 Super Sabres. They made a circle, and then they came in, and the first one tipped and came down, and it dropped a 500-pound bomb and then took off. And then the next F-100 came by, dropped a 500-pound bomb, and then took off, and it went back again. And this time they came down and they dropped 500 pounds of napalm and took off. And I had never seen napalm in my life, and I never want to see it again. Anyway, about a day later, when we received an all clear from the air base in Suc Trang, you went through the area that had been napalmed. And that was disturbing. You saw some bodies that were still smoking. And you had no clue if they were Viet Cong or they were simply civilians. But it's one of the horrors of war. I often wondered what the psychological impact was on someone who saw a body that lime had been thrown on and had been left in 100-degree heat in the Delta. And it occurred to me that one body lying there was somebody's father, somebody's brother, somebody's son, but there he is. He had a history just like I did. It took some time to adjust to that. It was an education. I hated being there, but I was sensitive enough to know that these were people. It was an ancient civilization. In one sense, I appreciated that experience, however dreadful it was, a real education on foreign affairs and human affairs.